Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Tip Tuesday. This is Geoffrey Nance here. And for the last couple of weeks, we have been going very practical for the new student. What does it look like to get started with trading? So, obviously, there's the educational piece. The next step is finding a charting software. Now, there are several of them out there. We looked at a couple, obviously, here at Tradeway. We've started something new fairly recently, pretty much towards the end of December, early January, called Charts by Tradeway. We're going to look at that a little bit today as well. And then last week, we talked about setting up a broker. So we're going to have a brokerage account, and then we're going to have to fund that account. And last week, we talked about all the different types of accounts that are available. We talked a little bit about what each one of those was and what they mean, just so you can be a little bit more comfortable with those. And then today, we're going to talk about putting it all together. So how do I take my charts, my brokerage, my funded brokerage, and actually go in there and make a trade? What does that look like? Well, that is our topic for today. So we're just going to go in there. I'm going to show you kind of two different ways of working through this. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to go into essentially Charts by Tradeway. I'll show you how you can link your brokerage to Charts by Tradeway and actually just trade from that one essential site. So that's certainly a pretty cool feature there. And then we're going to look at Tastyworks. So again, your broker might be Tastyworks, could be TD Ameritrade, could be anything else that's out there. There's a lot of them. But what does that look like? So it'd probably be a two-step process. It's not that hard. In fact, it's pretty seamless too. But we'll just kind of walk through what those look like and how that would just impact you. You know, which one would you prefer? Do you want kind of simple, do it all in one place, or you just like, hey, it's not that big a deal. It's one extra step, but I kind of like this broker or what they bring versus that one, or maybe you can combine them and do it all at one time. So that is totally up to you, but we just want to take this time to kind of walk through what that would look like. Now, if you've been paying attention to the market, it's crazy out there. Wow, we are seeing some wild swings. Yesterday, the S&P was down 160 points. And before it was all said and done, it ended up in the positive, like a 172-point swing. That's really, really big. Students sent me a chart that they had found where there had been where there had been 12 times where the NASDAQ had recovered from a 4% drop intraday. So within that day, it had dropped 4% and then managed to recover. That's happened 12 times in the last 22 years. 12 times in 22 years. So certainly that is not a common everyday thing that we would see, something that's happened 12 times in 22 years. It doesn't even happen once a year. It happens like once every 2 years. So not common. So here you are living in, in some ways historic times in the trading market. Just the volatility is very, very high. So it may not be the best time to place your first trade. A little bit more difficult to say, should I be looking for something that's going up? Should I be looking for something that's going down? That's a little bit tougher right now, but we want to get you ready so that whenever the market does kind of work itself out a little bit more, becomes a little bit, more peaceful, if you will, you would be in a position where you would be able to take the steps to get into your first actual trade. So let's go through here. I'm going to share my screen and we'll just walk you through the process. So this is what it would look like for you if you were going through Charts by Tradeway. I think everybody should be able to see what's on my screen and you can follow me. So what we would do is we would basically, we're going to always start out with the S&P. So on this particular charting software, you type in .spx. That's your S&P 500. We're going to go to the chart itself. And what you can see is that we've had a lot of movement, particularly down. Now, this is kind of an advanced pattern that we teach at step 2 that created the look here for a down move. And it is a particular pattern that we do teach that kind of gets you ready to say, hey, look, a big down move could be coming. So this is a common looking pattern here that, facilitated this move down. Again, I mentioned the big recovery yesterday. Today, the market was down big again, but it recovered and almost went positive before it ended up falling and being down 50 points and basically closing where it opened yesterday. So lots of stuff going on there, but you obviously could go in here. You would need to have some kind of a list. I guess we didn't really talk much about that, but obviously you're going to have to determine what stocks you want to trade. And obviously, I mean, you could. There's a lot of different ways that you could go about this. At Tradeway, depending on your subscription level with us, you'll probably have some involvement with some kind of study group or something like that, where we talk through different lists and look for different trading opportunities. And so that's one way, is you could kind of narrow a bunch of stocks down to a certain list, and you could go from there. Now, obviously, there's some stuff you could do here too. If you just had your own list or had a list provided by Tradeway, that would work. There's lots of different things that you can do from here with the charts by Tradeway. You can go to this little heat map over here. We're looking at the S&P 500. This tells you the things that were down, about 3%, the things that were up at least 3%. So if we were looking for something today that was doing well, apparently banks did well, and energy did well. We thought energy would do well. In fact, it has done well. We looked at some trading opportunities on one of those stocks that actually did do really well, this SLB. So let's go ahead and bring that up real quick. We'll look at that and just kind of show you what that one looked like here in just a second. All right, so let's go ahead now that we've seen that. So you could go looking for things that are doing well. You want to get them before they do too well, right? Because you don't want them doing that. Obviously, you see some that were down pretty big today: Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, Tesla, HTO. So a lot of big, well-known stocks that had pretty big down days today that dragged the market down. And yet we see, some financial services, particularly banks, oil and gas, and then the drugs today got back up into a good spot. So let's go over here now. We'll go into our research chart and we'll type in SLB. Now this one has already moved, and it's a little on the expensive side as far as maybe a step 1 where you're just going to be buying the stock. But you can see last night we saw it just move up off of the 20-day, and we thought it may keep moving up. Well, today it did. It moved up over $2. So that was a pretty nice move. Now, the question is, I see something like this and I say, oh, this is super hot. Should I go buy it now? Well, no. If you're trading the Tradeway system, we don't want to buy late. We really want to try to buy at or near what we call pivot points. That's when the stock is changing directions. Couple of reasons for that. It allows you to have a bigger profit potential if the stock moves your desired direction, and if it doesn't, you have a smaller stop out. So this is not at a good buy point now. We could look around and just see if there's something else. Ford was on a good run, and this is why we don't want you buying late, because I know of a person that hasn't taken our system, hasn't gone through our education, but they bought Ford, and as it tends to happen with a lot of amateurs, they ended up buying at the top, and since they bought in, it's just done this to them. So they got caught in a negative market swing. They got caught at the top all-time high of an individual stock, and so now they're down quite a bit from when they originally bought in. So we're looking for a stock that's at a good buy point. And it's you're just going to have to go through some of these and try to see if you can find something at a good buy point. And again, with the volatility that you're seeing, it may be a little bit harder to find something at a good buy point. So let's go out here. We'll type in NEM. This is new Newmont Corporation. For some reason, I try to call them Newport, or something like that. That's Newmont Corporation. This is a good setup. It's a good trade. It has the potential to go up. Now it's about $63. So most of our at least step 2 students would just come over here to options, and they would use the knowledge that they've gained through our system to trade options on this. And options allow you to get in a trade, but at a much lower cost. So obviously there's a real benefit there in being able to do that. But if you're just, looking at the actual stock, you could go in and buy that. It's a little, like I said, we might not want you to go in and necessarily do something that's at that particular place right now. A little, this is a pretty good buy point still, but you just go in there and say I want to buy it. Right. So you just get ready to go buy this thing. And what you would do is you would just say, okay, let me go click on my account. All right. And you can get a virtual account. So virtual accounts are free. They put money in the account, and then it allows you to do trading as if you were trading for real, but with, your different, your fake money here. Now, one of the things I would say about using Charts by Tradeway is that you can see if I want to add a broker, this is the list of brokers that are compatible to set up a brokerage account and then be able to trade, on the same site. You have Choice Trade, Ally Invest, TD Ameritrade, very popular, like Thinkorswim, E-Trade, and then Tradier. Tradier up here at the top is one that we are recommending to our clients. So you would just go in here, the process we talked about last week, Tradier. You can add that account to you. You can see I've got one, right here. So we can click on that. I can open up that account and I could begin to trade out of that account. For now, we'll stay over here in our virtual account. And we can go in here. And again, we're just going to work our way through this and, start to make some trades that we want to make. All right. So you just say, all right, so order ticket. What do I want to do? Right? Do I want to buy this thing? What's my action? Now, obviously we're after hours here, but we would be able to drop down in here, kind of say, all right, I think is what we were looking at. All right, so let's type it in. Did I do it right? Yeah. All right. So now what do I want to do? Right. The action is to buy. I can do either a limit order or I can do a market order. Again, we're going to cover all these different things at our seminars. Now, do you have to do 100? This defaulted to 100. No, I can go in there and buy as few as one if I wanted to. Now, again, we're going to keep in mind it's $63 a share. Let's just say I wanted to buy one. This is after hours trading, so the numbers are off. You see where it says the ask is 63.35, the bid is 62.88. In a normal trading day, those are going to be like a penny apart, but this is after hours, so the bid and ask spreads are going to be kind of crazy. So the stock ended at 63.29. Essentially, we would say, well, I'm going to try to buy at 63.30 then. Obviously, day order. And then if I wanted to, I could come over here and review. It's going to ask me, are you sure you're wanting to do this? You're wanting to buy one share of NEM at 63.30. And if I wanted to, and that was my answer, I would say submit. And voila, I would be in that trade. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. All right. So what would this look like if you had something like maybe like a Tasty Works or something like that, and you had a different broker. So you had a different charting software. So you had Telechart, you had a different charting software, and you went in here, you'd say, okay, so NEM. Oh, cool. It looks pretty good here. I think it might go up. So you would go here, and then from here, guys, this is where you would click back over here, and now you would have to log into like your Tastyworks account, right? So let's just say you had one set up. Obviously, you could get there quicker, so if you had a little thing tagged down here, you could do that, and that would allow you to, quickly switch over there and begin to trade out of that account, right? So that's how That's how that would work. And then you would essentially go through the same process, but you would just have to add an extra step here. You would go from your charting software, you would log into your broker, and then once you logged into your brokerage, now you would go through those same steps to then purchase your shares from your brokerage account. And again, I just use Telechart to Tastyworks here, but you could easily do Thinkorswim. You could do Charles Schwab. You could do any of those where you have an account. That would be your process to go from some charting software into what you were wanting to see, um, and then you would be able to go from there and make your trades. So that's it. That's our tip for today, is just walking through the process and realizing, all right, so I can kind of set it up where I get some kind of all-in-ones, or I can do a multi-step process where I go into my charting software, I open up my brokerage account, and then I just trade from that. So easy enough, right? So that's ultimately up to you. If you want to do the all-in-one with the charts by Tradeway, just enter and set up an account, fund an account with one of those that's linked up through the charts by Tradeway. If you say, I've already got some other stuff set up, don't really want to mess with all that stuff, and by the way, I have a chart with somebody else, I want to use that, you can do that too. All you have to do is go from your chart, log into your software, and then go from there. All right. Thanks for joining us for Tip Tuesday and walking through making a trade. So we've gone from education to setting up a chart, learning how to read that chart, setting up a broker, funding that broker, and now into taking all those steps, looking at the chart, getting ready to go and purchase our first trade. It's fun. Neat stuff, right? And not as hard as you might think it would be. Not as overwhelming. A lot of people are just scared by trading because it feels like there's so much stuff. There is, but what we want to do is we want to take away some of that uncertainty, some of that maybe, I don't want to use the word fear necessarily. I hope it's not fear, but maybe something like that. And just help you to see, look, when you have the right education, you have the right tools, it can be pretty easy to go through this stuff and at least set it up and get it going to where you can start your trading journey. Thanks for joining us for Tip Tuesday. We'll see you next time.